We're just getting started. We had some technology issues on setting things up and having sound issues and a variety of things. Hey, Wolfgang, nice to see you again. Looking forward to this conversation. And Jason and I are actually going to try to connect some dots here. By connecting the dots, we're going to be going over an article that I'm actually in process of collaborating with. This will, what is it? This will,
It will hold.
this will hold. With This will hold. I'm primarily doing a big investigation piece in regards to the trifecta, what I nicely like to try. Something that's been bothering me about the 2024 races is not just the presidential race, but it has to do with the congressional races. I mean, for them to absolutely have a trifecta was really mind-boggling for me. I don't believe it actually happened in a vacuum, in a silo. I think there was primarily some races here that were machine manipulated as well. Congressional races. This was the only way to put
Yeah.
forward their Project 2025. They had to have all three houses.
And to give people some idea, there's, some people that might say, okay, I'm going to be objective here. You know, how would something like this get done? It would just be a massive operation. And I remind people that um, when Joe Biden won the election in 2020, we know why he won. We don't need to relive that again. Mail-in ballots, because that actually made it more fair. He won the election by winning 520 counties out of the 3,000 counties in this country.
Right.
So when you break that down to 3,000 counties, and you only got to concentrate on 520 of them, but you don't even have to do that because you already know basically which districts are going to be red and which ones are going to be blue. There's going to be strong red, strong blue. So that breaks it down even further, to even less counties to focus on. So and then there's I remember making a video after this that, he was always going to be the nominee again, right? Always. They had 4 full years to prepare for this. 4 years.
Absolutely.
It's not
Absolutely.
like it came out of the blue, like, a year before. Yeah, let's try this, let's try that. No, they've been preparing for this for a long time.
Yeah, and they needed for this election for 2024. They needed the Senate. They needed the
Yep.
House. They needed all three to converge together. And so I started digging, and what I came up with, um, in some ways, it's surprising, but in other ways, it's not surprising. I kind of suspected it, if that makes any sense for those of us who are joining
Yeah,
us.
nothing surprises me anymore. There's no I mean, there is no bottom of the barrel.
There's nothing.
There
There's
isn't.
nothing of it. And originally in my Real Story series, for those of you that have read the Real Story series, I focus in on Pennsylvania as being the epicenter. And so ETA currently does have a lawsuit going on within Pennsylvania trying to get access to the ballots so we can actually do a recount. Um, but they're hitting some walls basically, and I don't think they're ever going to allow them to do the recount. And
Nope.
during the Pennsylvania race, there were actually three candidates, two representatives in Pennsylvania in two different districts. I believe it was 7 and 8. I'm quoting from my memory. And there was a senator candidate. Now, the senator that was running was actually there for several years, for decades, and a
Since
strong,
2007.
yes, strong blue candidate. And I believe it's Cartwell. And I may be getting the representative mixed up. And so, with that being said, the candidate actually was about a 3 to 4 point ahead in preliminary counts, the voting polls. And with them being ahead, they had the momentum, they had everything going for them. And they lost by about less than 1%.
0.5.
Yeah, less than 1%.
Yep. Which triggered
And
an automatic recount.
but guess what happened afterwards?
Yep, he conceded. He didn't let him finish the recount.
Yeah.
That's because the reason, you know, the Republicans on that side saying, "I can't believe he's doing this. He already knows he lost. It's gonna cost a lot of money." But, there
And
was
just
one
see what our
before it.
government is doing, grifting
Yeah,
government is doing right now.
it's
Money as an
ridiculous.
excuse.
The only
So
thing I think, I'm pushing more people to try to do is hopefully it's still there, mailing in their ballots. But then even then, this was all such, and it wasn't just one area. We've went over the, vote counting computer area. We went over that. It was so widespread from, you know, challenges. Challenges are one thing, technicalities are another thing.
yeah.
So imagine mailing in your vote, and probably the overwhelming majority of people don't realize it. And then your vote gets not counted because you might have put the wrong date on it, or your handwriting is as shitty as mine and they couldn't read it properly, something like that. So your vote didn't count. And most people don't know how to go check that. And
No, they don't.
what was
And
there,
that
like
brings me up
11,000 of those in Pennsylvania, I think? And those were just technicalities there were 11,000 that were just because, they had, one of three things. They put on the wrong date, or they didn't, just stupid shit. It was just stupid.
absolutely, and in regards to the name, it was Bob Cassie. It was
Yep.
Bob Cassie, so who was the senator running, and he actually lost to McCormick. So, I don't believe those results, and what Jason was talking about was this whole suppression, and they do a lot of suppression of the mail-in ballots, and they're probably gonna be doing more of it.
Mhm.
And the other point I do wanna bring up is, Jason, you recently sent me an article about what's going on within, Michigan. They're
Yep.
actually doing a verify of the vote, and it's called Ballot Verified, is it not?
Something like that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was, or was it Macomb County? I don't remember exactly where it was.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not a county that had any
no, no.
irregularities. It is a stronghold of a Republican county.
Yep.
However, and it's also a Republican that's pushing this forward because he's of the opinion that he wants people to be confident within the vote. Well, it's great. Push forward the ballot verified within this one county that had
Let's do
no
Wayne County then.
irregularities.
Let's do Wayne County.
Right.
Yep.
So
That's the big county in question. It's
it's
Wayne County.
so my question to you, in Michigan, do you know if Wayne County has verified the vote?
No,
Does ballot
it,
verify?
it's the same old, same old. Like when I wrote attorney general here in Michigan, and I got this, same bullshit response, an automated one. Our vote, they're safe and secure, free and fair. We're transparent. You could see this. Uh, this small 1% or 2% audits are done. And I replied to them very lengthy, and I was not nice in my reply. Because I'm straightforward and I'm blunt. And, I told them, don't treat me like I'm a damn idiot, because I'm not. Don't treat me like I don't know what I'm talking about, like I don't know how to comprehend what I'm reading, because I do. Just stop trying to gaslight me. You know, I know how our system works here in Michigan. I know how, the numbers go. I know, the different steps it takes before those numbers that are reported get to the media that are reported to us. And you
Yeah.
can't tell me that it's impossible, because it's so widespread. That's why it's broke down, into states, into counties, into precincts. It'd be just impossible. Bullshit. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is
No, it's
impossible.
not impossible. It's not impossible. It takes maybe 2 people, just looking at it. Yes, it may take some time, but, I really would hope that more, precincts would begin to use the ballot verified, but I want them to use it before the race is
Yeah.
called. There
Yep.
there's this catch of, "Oh, let's go and use it now after the race has been called."
Too little late then.
Too late,
But,
'cause
and the other thing people will say is like, there's a reason Donald Trump has the focus about, you know, his little slice of pie of distractions, I like to call it, is on the 2020 election, but not a word about the 2024 election. He's trying to
absolutely.
keep focus on there for an excuse, but nothing about the 2024 election. And a lot of people like to say confirmation bias. This isn't the reason I decided to jump on this side and using my common sense and a little bit of imagination isn't about changing the past. We can't change that. Uh,
Right,
um, we can't. I mean, is there mechanisms to change it? Sure, but it'll never freaking happen. People need to accept that it's not going to go the way that other people might want it to go. To say impeach them, remove them. Yep, they did it. They cheated. They're not going to do it. This is about protecting the future. This isn't about discouraging people from voting. This is about protecting the future of voting and teaching people how to check to make sure your vote actually counted
actually was counted.
and went to the person you voted for. That's what this
Right.
is about.
Right, and I absolutely, and there are ways to do that. I know here in California, we can go onto a website to make sure our vote was counted, make sure everything was, there. We can do that, but most people do not know how to go forward and do that. So there does need to be some teaching involved. And no, we're not gonna go backwards. Hi,
No.
Jordan. Thank you for joining us. Robert, nice to see you again. Howdy, good to see you. Robert, you're in Pennsylvania, correct? If I recall correctly. Robert, are you still there with us?
Get him.
So anyway, I believe Robert is in Pennsylvania. And basically, he sent me quite a few things in regards to some of the irregularities that were going on in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I did start this whole trifecta focusing on Pennsylvania. Well, if there is one irregularity taking place in one area, what makes me think that there isn't going to be some other irregularities? Then that I moved forward into Nevada and Clark County and what was going on there. And Clark County in Nevada had a little bit more in regards to the drop down votes. And so when I was looking at the Nevada numbers, once again, there were some Democrats that were high up there in the polls, but all of a sudden, the Republican comes out of nowhere and wins. And so the exit polls and the entry polls and the early polls were showing one thing. How can all that show one thing and then at the last moment, it flips to a Republican?
And not just in one area, but it happened all across the country.
Absolutely. And then I focused in on Georgia. So this is
Mhm.
going to be upcoming. This whole trifecta. I am focusing in on the states rather than the whole presidency because we have really talked about the presidency and everything that went down. It was from the machines, from the
Yep.
suppression. The suppression was just it was phenomenal, and it's
And
legal.
and they
It's
made it
legal.
worse in Texas with, assigning specific precincts. And it's just for me, it's a lot of it I can take a lot. And this is overwhelming for me. This is like,
I agree.
I'm like, I just want to knock on their heads and be like, what is wrong with you people? What I mean, it's right in front of you. It's been in front of you since the minute he refused to be participate in Joe Biden's inauguration, right? It's been there. Right after that, I remember the first report of a Republican county clerk. I think it was, don't quote me on it, but like Iowa or some shit like that, had given the Trump team and Trump a copy of the Dominion software. That's where it started, right there. And I'm like, are you shitting me? And then you move from that time, that first report after Joe Biden was inaugurated. And I think that may have happened like before he was inaugurated, right? From that point on to where we are today, if you took all of the reports and all of the evidence, even before the 2024 election, it and then after it, here we are. We have mega sycophants buying Dominion.
Yeah.
And
And all the voting systems, every
yes,
single one of them, it's
there's only
owned by one party.
yeah, we only have 2 vendors in the United States that report to
3.
media. 3? I thought it
Right.
was 2. Might have been 3. That and
3.
you think about that. Think about that. And I thought about, okay, what's a good way to rectify that, right? I think, for me, a good way to rectify that would be to have the states have individual vendors and more than one. A minimum of 3 vendors per state. Those numbers get sent to all 3 vendors that verify the numbers before they're sent to the media.
Yeah, they do that. One of my things when I was writing about Nevada, one of my things is they do more certifications of penny slot machines than they do of our own
Yeah.
elections.
Don't treat them on that shit. No.
I'm
Nope,
just,
nope.
you know,
Yeah.
there's more certifications that are done
Oh
on
my
those
god.
machines
Jesus.
than there is done.
And people are like, you know, what what I try to like in regular conversations when I talk to people about this, it's like you have to look at, okay, this last year, the Supreme Court handing Donald Trump 20 out of 21, right? The tariff thing, even they had, I said this before, they've had the ability to see that tariffs they're gonna hurt the economy. But he's not giving up. There's another report today, something, I don't know what he's trying, some other bullshit.
Mhm.
But and they say, well, the Supreme Court could rule against him, when it comes to federalizing elections. And I say, no, they're not gonna do that because you see, money, anybody can earn money, right? The money's there. But when it comes to power, that's the only thing more valuable than money, is having the power to control it.
Absolutely. And that actually is a good point to bring us up into our next segment. Um, Kissam Rashan actually wrote about the Illinois primary elections.
Yeah, I read that.
And he
Good.
wrote about when the elections are bought. And so basically, his article, and I recommend anybody that hasn't taken a look at it, go ahead and take a look at it. His article actually lays out how massive the outside spending is actually
Yep.
shaping our local races. Now,
Bitcoin
yes, and he talks about the crypto interest,
and the betting industry,
the
gambling
betting.
industry.
Correct, like DraftKings and FanDuel. When did this become part of our, I don't know,
Well,
society? When did this
that that
become
that Bitcoin's been around for a lot. There's actually maybe some evidence that Epstein started Bitcoin, right? Some people, I've heard some rumors about that. I don't know if it's true, but Bitcoin's been around for a while, and it's an unregulated industry. So
right?
what I looked into is, and when I'm not shocked to discover it, but I didn't hear about it when it happened. That Eric Trump is involved in it, the American Bitcoin, and I've seen the videos and then trying to present it. Look what we're doing, blah blah blah. The factory, it's Bitcoin mining, right? And the mining factory is bigger than 4 freaking WalMarts, full of computers mining cryptocurrency,
And
an unregulated industry.
And I have anybody who's really a specialist on crypto and Bitcoin. I'm still having a hard time understanding how it
It's kind of
relates
like
to my
I have.
I still don't get
Okay,
it.
I had like I remember a few years ago, right? Um, before all the Elon was an asshole type thing, even though he's always been an asshole.
He's
There was
always
the
been an
whole
asshole.
there was the Dogecoin thing, right? And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look into this, right? So I bought some Dogecoin, and I bought them when they were just a few cents, right? They were still like negative, so it's kind of like the stock
This was
market.
back in 2000 and I wanna say 22, right around
Yeah,
there,
I think it might have been a
2021.
little sooner than that.
Right.
And then they created the off one, the Shiba Inu coin, which was, the kind of the direct thing, and that one is like, per coin, you would say, or it'd be like a stock is worth like 0.0004 something, something. But, as it go up, and it depends on the volume and the number of traders on how high it goes. So, Dogecoin reached pretty high one time, and I'm like, "Nope, I'm holding it." I'm holding it. I'm holding it. Technically, I'm a millionaire because I have like a million Shiba Inu coins, but they're only worth, 0.00004444, a piece. But hey, if it ever reaches like 50 cents or a quarter, like, hey, I'm
But do
okay.
you think it
Right?
really will ever reach that
It,
point?
it
I don't
when they want to bump it and they want to use stuff like that to transfer like Trump when he started Melania coin, right? And Trump coin. Uh, here's where I'm it's not embarrassing for me, but it's because my dumbass fell asleep. He launched Melania coin, right? And I knew it. He launched it, so I went and bought like 30 of them.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Staying awake, I'm watching it. It's climbing, it's climbing, it's climbing. I would have probably tripled my money, and I said, "All right, I'll give it like another hour." I woke up I woke up by the next morning, it tanked, and I went, "Oh, shit." So
Yeah,
I ended up but lose anything because I already used what I had,
I
you know,
just
in
I
in
just
in Bitcoin in coin. So
I guess I'm more old school. I can't see it, I can't physically touch it, I don't get it.
it
So
to better explain it, it's an unregulated industry for rich motherfuckers to transfer money to each other.
mhm,
You see it like, Trump
okay,
with
I
this.
got it,
You see what
got
I'm
it,
saying? That's what it is, right?
I
And
got it.
that's why, like the letter to the Epstein, right? I want 1 Bitcoin or I'm gonna tell you where the bodies are buried. That thing? Because, a Bitcoin back then, probably 80, $90,000 for 1 coin.
I just remember one of the founders committed suicide. I remember just
Yep.
a whole bunch of, different things,
The guy Trump pardoned,
yeah,
he was already convicted of it. He was the CEO of Binance, which is, kinda like they hold all the wallets for people for Bitcoin
yeah,
and the other
but
meme coins.
yeah, and we did I did ask the question, but we did kinda get off the tangent here. But I
It happened.
any anything new with us? Anyway, but, what I did like about the article that we were discussing is not only does he discuss the crypto interest, but he also discussed the AIPAC, aligned political.
Yep.
Then he gives numbers like, 2.8 million has been spent supporting a candidate while attack at target her opponent.
Cat.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
I'm mutuals with her on Blue Sky, I believe. Yep. She goes over the ad, and it's absolutely hilarious. And I wish more progressive candidates like her would directly go after these ads and say, "Okay, here they are," and she's like, "All right, let's watch the ad, let's tear it apart," you know, and then she goes to the source. They're like claiming, "But who is Cat really?" And I couldn't help but laugh. And she's like, they literally cited my high school newspaper as a source that
I
she supported Rubio for president in 2016 or whatever when she was in high school. And I can't help but laugh
okay,
because she's
I
great.
don't I
She's
don't
great.
wanna
She knows what she's doing.
yeah, but I don't wanna I want to say this. Anything that we may said or believe in high school, our prefrontal cortex is not fully developed, and our
No.
frontal cortex isn't fully developed until we're like 24, and some cases 25. And with neurodivergent people, me, sometimes it's a little bit longer.
Yep.
So,
And I just wish more of the progressive candidates. I mean, like we have Abdul Saeed El Saeed running here for senator in Michigan. You know, he's starting to catch on more, and he's starting to gain ground on social media more, and people are starting to listen to him more because, he's not afraid to say it. He's like, if Israel is committing a genocide, we're going to call it what it is, a
it
genocide.
needs to be
Because that's what it
I
is.
don't like the fact people are pussyfooting around it.
Yeah.
You
It
see
needs
right
to
in
be
front of your
abolished.
eyes, and how can you justify it?
He is just, and he's starting to gain a lot of ground. And, his opponent, who is the favor here, Haley Stevens, who last year, whatever it was, like 5.4 million from APAC, that is a lot of money to dump into a candidate. And the problem with those candidates, like Haley Stevens and APAC candidates, established Democrats, are they think because we're just the public and we might work regular jobs or whatever, that we're idiots. Democrats have never been scared of their constituents like Republicans are. Republicans are scared of their constituents because,
And yeah, I don't understand that.
let's face it,
I, I I don't get it. They should
here's
be
what I
scared.
in the next couple, not just this election cycle, but I think within the next 6 years, I think we are going to have, and because I'm not going to stop fighting, we're going to have more progressive candidates than we're going to have centrist, one step from the right Democrats in power. Because
Absolutely.
APAC, like APAC's track APAC.com, last I counted, there was like 93 endorsed candidates, all for congressional seats, Senate and House. Progressive that are just regular people running grassroots campaigns that are all, they all have the same message. We're done. We're tired of it. We want government to function like it should have been. We are tired of our money going to countries that do not need it, countries that have free health care when we're supposed to be the richest country on earth. We're tired of people trying to gaslight us. Well, APAC really isn't Israel. The money is American money. Israel's literally in the headline.
I know.
American Israel.
Yeah. They're basically buying us out. But I do want to circle back to your point about power and money. The point is, power rarely operates in isolation.
Nope.
So with that being said, we know that money influences politics.
Yep. But in Donald Trump's mind, power operates in isolation. His mind, because in his mind, he believes he is the ultimate decision maker, the ultimate power, that what he says goes, period.
Yeah, I think
just
that is an illusion that they give him. That's an illusion. That the real powers that be that are operating behind him. That's how the power structure works.
Yeah. But he's easy to manipulate too.
That's what I'm saying. You got it.
He's hard to control,
correct.
But he's easy to manipulate.
Correct.
Because he doesn't have a filter and he's going to say what he wants to say. And I did a video this morning, talking about this kind of very thing with the election. Like, you can't be a creator on the internet saying things. I mean, you can be, but in my opinion, you can't come on here and say, every accusation is a confession, without actually saying every accusation is a confession. You can't come on here saying Donald Trump always tells on himself, always in some way, shape, or form. But
Always.
then say, "No, he's just talking out of his ass," when he told Elon Musk those vote counting computers, like, very specifically, vote counting computers, like that.
Because he didn't have the
Uh-huh.
specific term. He didn't
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
specific term
yeah.
because that's the his,
But you see my point though, right?
right,
You can't just say that, he always tells on himself, and to use your imagination a little bit when he's telling on himself without actually believing that he's telling on himself
right.
and saying, "Well, no, that statement was just, eh, whatever." No, it wasn't,
Stephen Miller is the true president.
right?
Vault
And
as well. I think there's a
they're all living on
co-president
military
there. You
bases.
forgot Vault.
Yeah.
So,
Pam Bondi's on a military base, Stephen Miller's living on a military
military.
base.
Yeah,
Somebody
so
tried to
what
ram into the White House again this morning. I mean, just a
so
normal day in America, baby.
yeah, this is what we have. No wonder all of our we're on high alert. And so I know a lot of us are feeling exhausted. And I know a lot of us,
Yep,
sometimes when we read something, we take it so personal because we're on such high alert, you
yep.
know.
And I'm
And
reactionary. I when I read something that pisses me off, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a video about it." And I go off. That's me.
let me get on my camera. Here I go. I'm
Yep.
live again.
I did the one this morning. This stupid senator is on there saying, "Oh, here we are. We're gonna go back to defunding the police. We're not going back to that." No, bitch, that's not what they're saying. First of all, ICE, CBP is not law enforcement. So yeah, shut up. They're not law enforcement.
I'm
And
scared too.
then
I am scared
ugh,
too. Dina basically says, "I'm scared," and I'm scared too. And
we all
but we all are. But there are some of us that are not being dictated by our fear. Basically, we are going to still speak out. I'm going to
yep.
still write. I'm going to still put it. I'm out. I'm public. My name is public.
You
So
can't shut
I'm
me out.
right. So yes, I'm
I
scared.
sit in my living room, Dina. I sit in my living room with my gun because I've had so many death threats over my time on social media. When I had my bigger TikTok account before they took it, I used to receive at least 3 or 4 death threats a week. And so, considering after Donald Trump won the well, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Last year is when I decided to go get my CPL, and I'm like, "Nope, I'm not. I'm not," because of another friend of mine, TikToker, several months before that, he had been confronted by some mega sycophant in public who tried to fight him, and I'm like, "Nope, nope,
Yeah.
I'm not."
But I do know the country is still quite divided. I know some people are saying MAGA are coming over
Mm.
and things like that. I just had a conversation yesterday with my older son's grandmother, and only to find out within her family, her that they're MAGA and they're Asian. And I'm like, "How can that be?" And she's not, she's more
Where
independent.
from?
They're from here, San Francisco, originally. One moved to Alaska, and one is in now
Mm.
upper, I want to say Northern California, further up. And I do know there are MAGA there. And so basically, whenever family would come and visit her sister outright says, "I'm a Trump supporter."
Ugh, I
And
don't get it.
I'm just like, I was
Well,
floored by that.
if and I think didn't I do say this last week? If people spent just, did you follow through and watch Fox News for a while?
I barely watch television. I read all the time.
You see, and that's kind of my challenge to people is
Yeah.
I'm not saying watch Fox News to change your mind or
I saw
because
the
they're Fox
study, by the
News.
way. See, I
Yep,
read
you
and I
have
saw the
to.
study.
It's what Fox News will not report.
Right.
That's why. And when they like people are like, how the hell did they get the Latino vote? Down in the South. I'm going to tell you how they got it. They got it because of certain Latinos down, like, Southern Florida, Southern Texas. When these immigrants come here and they have family that come here, that they're escaping a different type of socialism, right? When I think of socialism in America, I think of progress,
I think
right?
so
I
too.
think of free healthcare. I think of, funding our roads, our bridges, our police, stuff. That's what I think.
Infrastructure.
But
Yeah.
down south of the border, that's a different type of socialism. Right? So they run ads down there. Your family came here and escaped socialism, and now the socialists in here in America, they want to take it over and turn it back into what you escaped from and what your family escaped from.
Okay.
Those are the type of ads that they run down there. So when you have, and it was when you have those type of ads running, they're like, oh, yeah, I can't, I just can't vote for that. I can't, family here, I can't go back to that. It's a fear mongering tactic. And I said it 1,000 freaking times that when Joe Biden won the election and a few months afterwards, they started talking about open borders, it was a language barrier. And as soon as they talked about open borders, they regurgitated it for 4 years. Open borders, open borders, open borders.
Well,
Until
that's the
finally,
whole narrative. That's the
yep, until
narrative
finally
change.
Kristi Noem did an interview while before this was before while Joe Biden was still president. She did an interview and she told on him. She said, "I talked to a mother that came from Nicaragua, I think it was,
Mhm.
right? And she escaped and she made her way up here with her and her daughter. Can you imagine that traveling through that? You know, and this mother told me, why did she come here? Because she had heard the borders were open.
Okay. I think Dina mentions the best point. The best point is they're escaping authoritarian governments,
They
and
are.
absolutely, they're not escaping socialism. They're escaping authoritarian governments, and unfortunately, we're not a democracy here anymore. And I'm just going to point blank say it: we are an authoritarian government now. That's what we are. So,
Yep.
what are we going to do to move us away from that? And there's things that each one of us are going to need to do. Me, I choose to document. I choose to go to the protest. I choose to investigate.
Yep.
I choose to get the word out there. These are the actions that I choose to do because I believe in democracy
Yep.
and I believe in uh, I'm more along the lines that everybody should have health care. Everybody should have a roof over their head. Live in a vast country with many resources. Everyone deserves to have a roof over their head, and everyone deserves to eat.
Yeah.
You know,
And
we
it's
are acting like a
survival of
third,
the fittest.
huh?
It's
Yeah,
survival of the fittest. I mean,
right
that's
now, that's what it is. And this is what, and people are feeling as though they can't do anything because they're working paycheck to paycheck.
and it's only gonna get worse. I mean, once, this war that's going on, once it's happened, you think I mean, gas prices, if it does reach $200 a barrel, when it comes to the experts in the oil and gas field, like Mr. Global, he's like the only expert I listen to. Um, After week 3, nobody knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
We're gonna be ending week 2 here.
yeah.
After the 3rd week, nobody knows what's gonna happen, and Iran is not, you know, showing any signs that they're gonna open it. They're like, "Nope."
No, no,
So
absolutely.
they have
That's,
something better than a nuclear weapon.
yeah, we're,
You see, they're Trump is like, they have a nuclear weapon. They were almost there. We're gonna destroy it, which is a lie. We all know that. But Iran has something better than a nuclear weapon.
exact same lie that they said about Iraq.
Yep.
So all I'm just saying is
I'm
that
gonna predict $12 a gallon.
right now I did see a posting at $9. $9, and I don't
Oh, good
remember
God.
where. Yeah, at
Well, I know
$9.
you guys are a little higher out there in California. We went from here in Michigan, we went from 269 to just under 299 to 369 in 4 days.
Yeah, I believe it. We're up there here in the city, close to $6.
That is insane. I can't.
And so with that being said, I'm going looking at my bicycle downstairs going, "I guess I'm gonna be riding a bike. My
Right.
my ass is
Right.
gonna be I'm riding a bike." Um,
I mean, who
so
who could afford that? I mean, honestly, $10 a gallon for gas. I mean, I don't know about California, but I know Michigan, $10 a gallon of gas. Who the how?
I can't.
How?
I
I
sure as
mean,
can't.
you're talking $150 to fill up your car for gas.
Yeah. So I do wanna, kinda shift a little bit because we are connecting the dots today.
Yep.
So I wanna shift it to the Iranian school bombing, and I sent you
Good
a little note, "Hey,
lord.
we need to discuss this."
Yep.
And, now there is a couple of points to look at in regards to that. Just for context, there was a story that was unfolding on Substack that was circulating about the girls' school in Iran that was bombed.
Yep.
And with the context here is originally the place that was bombed was a IRGC military base about
A
15
decade
years
ago. Yeah.
yeah, 15 years ago before it was converted into a school. So some journalists are actually speculating, this is speculation, that they used um, AI to choose their targets, and
Yep.
AI was operating from an old assumption.
Yep. I
Yeah,
wouldn't doubt it.
bad intelligence, absolutely bad
Yep.
intelligence, and so as a result of that, because they actually it was a double click bomb to make sure that everybody was dead.
Yep. It was a double tap.
So
Did you
so
see Iran's response to that? Have you seen their Lego movie?
no,
You haven't seen their Lego movie.
no.
Iran made a Lego movie, 2 minutes long, in
Uh,
response to Trump to troll him,
uh-huh,
and they included the school with the little girls in there.
uh-huh.
You know, they're and I know watching it, I'm like, isn't this kind of the shit world where we can't like either character in the movie? You know, and that's what it's like. But it's
And that
true. It references Bibi Netanyahu, the Jewish people over there. It references the bomb hitting the school, the Strait of Vermouth. Yep, it's all in there. Go look when
okay.
we get done here. Look it up. It's
I will, and, once I find it, I'll make sure to include it within my notes before our videos go out.
it's crazy.
So so, yeah, I definitely do. Now I'm not assuming that this is in fact the case. It needs to be investigated. And I know I've spoken to some people that say basically, no, 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 the military is too advanced to be doing something like that. Well, look who's in
Okay.
charge. Yeah, well, my attitude is, well, we kind of have to look who's in charge. The
Yep.
same man that won't allow a bad photograph to be going out about him. The same
Yep.
man that basically kicked out all the photographers
And
about
especially after the senators coming out of that closed door
and
classified
and
session talking
absolutely,
about it, and they're like, they're basically, in short, they're all like, "What the fuck was that?"
absolutely,
There's no plan.
no
They're
plan.
just blowing shit up to blow shit up.
There's absolutely no plan, and Dina, absolutely, they fired all the experts in intelligence.
Yep.
So
Because
they're
they did what? What did they do? They worked on Trump's classified documents case. That's why they were fired.
yeah. So they fired all the intelligence. So they have nobody who actually has the know-how, the history. You gotta know your history.
Lapdogs, that's all they have, lapdogs.
you know? So, as a result of this, the military intelligence is increasingly using automated systems, and they use these automated systems to analyze the satellites, to analyze the map
Mhm.
infrastructure, as well as to identify potential targets. So, yes, it does deserve investigation. Yes, they've also hit hospitals. Sounds kind of familiar. Remember what Israel
Love
was
that.
doing in
Yeah.
Gaza?
And the worst part about all of this is the American media is complicit. They are not reporting, they are lying, they are choosing not to report what is really going on over there. And they are doing this because they are scared of retribution from who's in the White House. That's the worst part. The whole there is more soldiers that have been injured and killed than they're reporting. And so now, that to me is probably the most disappointing part is that we have, you know, media in the United States afraid to report the truth.
Because
That
there's
is
retribution.
mm,
There's retribution, and it's
which
taking
makes us
place. And it's
no
taking
better than Russia.
place. Right. There's retribution. It's no better. So this is where I'm flying below the radar, basically. You know, um, there is this thing of, yes, I would like more subscribers, but I kind of like flying underneath the radar because I'm able to get out these points and have somebody else pick it up and run
Yep.
off with it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm kind of like the opposite on that. I'm like, I'm loudmouth.
mhm.
I'm not going to let. I don't care if it's the top person in the freaking CIA. You're not going to scare me. I I I I believe in the Constitution, I believe in the freedom of speech, but I also believe in, facts, and I also believe that everybody else has a right to know those facts, and if it takes me doing a little extra work to dig through the propaganda bullshit to find the facts, then that's what I'm gonna do. Because when I do, like, Google searches, I don't go to page 1. I'll go to, like,
You
page 10. And find some of the older stuff I can find just to, you know, it helps me, I guess, refresh my memory on stuff.
there
So
are there are systems out there that I use a lot. A little background about me, and I don't mean to go off. Prior to me doing this, and prior to me being a full time IHSS provider for my older son, I ran my own business and I was a recruiter, a technical recruiter. And so basically, I had to learn how to find people for the right job, for the right fit, etc. And so I do not dig onto Google. I use many other browsing sites in order to find people. And I use a terminology that's called Boolean searching. And this way I'm able to dig into files, get to the PDFs, what I need in order to find a person. I use those same skills when I'm looking up a document, when I'm trying to find something that I know is within the government website, like the federal website. I
mhm.
will do a backwards search, which means basically I'll start changing things within the search string itself, basing upon naming conventions. And so then I'm able to find the document that I'm looking for because I do know how to do that. I also know how to scrub things. So there are things that I know how to do because it's what I did for several years. And so when I say something isn't necessarily lining up, I'm saying this from past experience.
Yep.
And when I find something and I'm going to give everybody how to find it, I'm saying because I know most people are doing a basic search in Google. Yes, you need to go further and further back, but you can also use things like the Wayback Machine. There's also another site that I use called Exolead. I use that as well. I don't like being tracked. So I use another browser and I'll put down the name of it right now for I think it's called something Start Site or something like that. I use that. It's on my phone for when I'm browsing to find things. So there are a variety of ways of going about it, but I do
Yeah,
agree
see,
with
I'm not a technical person by any means, but I'm not technologically illiterate. I know how
right.
technology works, but I'm more, I was brought up on the streets. I didn't have guidance. What my kids being born is, what made me basically who I am. I grew up without that father figure. My mom was busy marrying whatever husband she was marrying, type thing. But I'm the person that when the shit hits the fan, and it's going to hit the fan, mark my words, it will eventually. And
Well,
it
we're
could be as
connecting
early
dots.
as
At this point,
this
that's where
November. I'm going to be in
it's
the front row.
leading. Yeah.
That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be the front person. I am going to volunteer as tribute. Plain and simple. That's who I am. I'm like, when it comes down to people finally being fed up saying, hey, the Bill of Rights tells us we can remove a fascist government and install a new one. I volunteer as tribute. I don't want to be president, no, but I want to be part of the selection because I I'm sick of hearing politicians run for office saying, I understand you. I,
No, you
I, I
don't.
understand you're struggling. I get it. No, you don't. No, dude, Peter Meyer Food Corporation, big here in the Midwest, like Walmart competition. You know, eh, Dude, how do you understand us? You're literally a trust fund baby. You don't know what struggle is. You don't know what it's like not being able to pay your bills. You don't know what it's like. Oops, sorry, I almost dropped. Sorry, I
Take your
almost dropped.
time. You
You
got a
don't
little bit
know
passionate
what it's
there.
like to struggle so bad that in order to feed your kids you got to walk in one door of a freaking grocery store and walk out the other door and not pay for some bread, milk, and eggs because you didn't have enough money. You don't know what it's like to live that life. So I am that shit. That's the shit that gets me fired up and gets me angry. you know and then we have Terry DeBoer, who's running as a Republican to try to unseat Hillary Scholten, which is our
Which
Democratic.
we talked about last week too.
Yep. And it's the same thing with her. She's grew up in a cushy life. And her coming on here saying, I don't have an allegiance with a party. You're running as a Republican. How could you not have an allegiance? If you truly wanted to run without an allegiance to a party, especially a party that's covering up for a pedophile, you would have come out and said, I'm going to run as an independent, even though the week before you were on television saying, oh, I'm retiring. I can't wait to spend time with my family. This is going to be great. And less than a week later, I'm running for office. What? And I went through all the local social media pages about this, where I live. 98% of them are negative, and they all say the same thing. Wait, didn't you just retire? Oh, so now you get to predicting the weather gives you the ability to run for Congress? And she doesn't stand a chance in hell. And I just wish that our representative, who, you know, I just wish she would stop taking APAC funds. I don't care if it was only $3,500 that they gave her. Stop
Yeah.
taking.
Yeah. I the other way to look at it, it was only $3,500. Can you now stop taking the funds?
Yep.
Really,
Yep.
the other way to just kind of put it, unlike our senator here, Adam Schiff, I've never liked him. He didn't vote for him.
Is my
Um,
screen still frozen, Dina? Is it? No. She said frozen screen. I think that might have been a minute ago. Sorry.
okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I probably lost your train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. Adam Schiff, you were talking
Yep.
about impact money. So Adam Schiff, you wanted to know he's accepted more APAC money than many others. I think he's like
Eight
number one,
million?
9 million.
9. Yep. And that's what like for Senator Hillary Stevens that's running against Abdul El Said here. She's
Mhm.
reset over $5.5 million. Like, nope.
So yeah, and this is an old point that I've always been on is we got to get money out of politics.
Yep.
We got to get money out of politics. There should
Any
just be
any
a
money that comes in politics needs to be you know, th- individual donation. It needs to come from, the people of that district, you know. And it's like the first campaign I ever donated to was to David Clayton, even though he decided to drop out because he realized whatever happened there. Okay, I understand, I know what happened, but it's not my place to say it. He's doing it for the right reasons. He's not going to stop running for office, but all like if I want to support my candidate, for Michigan's third congressional district, all of her money should come from within the district.
Yeah,
And if it's a senator for a state senator, like Abdul El Said, all of his funding should come from just the state of Michigan alone. From
absolutely.
Yep, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Not these outside interests, not the outside groups, not the corporations,
Yep.
not they're
Yeah, I
just
was just gonna say that.
yeah,
Corporation, like gas companies and everything, they need to be banned from donating to political candidates.
absolutely. And we're not going to be able to even focus in on that until we get out the regime that's currently in place.
Right.
So, and who are stealing all of our money. But I am going to try
Right.
and I'm going to have to try and wrap this up. We weren't able to discuss, state level resistance or even structural reform today. And I guess we can discuss it next week.
Sorry,
But
I got heated up.
it's okay. But we did cover a variety of different stories,
Yep.
and we did cover the congressional election anomalies. We did cover how corporate money is flooding the primaries. And we could have gone on over a little bit more about the AI and the welfare. There is some other areas I wanted to touch, but I'll leave it with this note, with this last saying. If an algorithm is pulling from old satellite data, archive intelligence reports, or scraped databases, it could identify a legitimate military target, even if the function changed years or earlier. So, in other words, it could identify a building, and the building may have changed, but
Yep.
it would still say this is the function of that. So, because what is happening is the picture of the building does not have the meta tags. And with the meta tags attached to it, the data is not necessarily attached. So
Right.
the girls' school could have been bombed as a result of AI.
And it was an American Missile. Don't listen to anybody else. It's just people trying to justify it is sickening. And I think my closing on this week will be learning that Bibi Netanyahu tried to get Joe Biden to attack Iran. That and he didn't do it. So that, but the biggest thing for me this week that I've learned since last week was that a hacker in 2023 hacked the FBI database in the Department of Justice and got the complete Epstein file cache. All of it. Somebody on this round globe right now has a copy of the full, unredacted, complete Epstein file set. And the FBI did a video call with this person and had to convince them that they were actually the FBI because he thought he hacked something. It was a foreign hacker. He thought he hacked something like, oh shit, I'm going to turn this in. I'm going to call the American FBI. And it took them forever to convince them that he was actually talking to the FBI. But you know, as well as I do, that this person took a copy of that and stuck it on a disk. So somebody on this planet has the complete set, unredacted, everything.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned about that because they're not even sure how many files there are. They keep creating different numbers of files. So what are those particular files? Is it 3.5 million? Is it 6 million? Is it this? Is
Well,
the no
now, but
right.
this happened during Joe Biden.
Okay.
So,
So
anything related to Epstein at that time, because Maxwell was still under investigation, all that stuff,
mhm.
anything was kept in one spot.
Yeah,
One spot.
Yeah, I just like, for example, today, and we're going over, but for today, early morning hours, I saw something in regards to ICE, fuck ICE, stop ICE, etc. And
Yep.
they're claiming it's called Department of Peace. And yeah, listen to this. They're claiming hackers were able to get all the corporations that are receiving funds for ICE.
Mm,
And they show all this
good
stuff.
God.
Now, I want to make it clear to everybody here. ICE is part of Homeland Security. Part
Yep.
of, that's the big umbrella. Homeland
Yep.
Security actually handles FEMA funds, handles a variety of different things. All the information in regards to contracts, allocated contracts, does not necessarily mean ICE.
Nope.
All that information, it wasn't hacked. That's public information.
Yep.
Putting it into a database, putting hot sheets saying, see, California, look at how big that bubble is. Look at how much funding they're getting from ICE. This is clickbait.
Yep. All
And
of it is.
this is taking place now on Substack. And what they're trying to do is collect information about you. They give you
Yep.
a site to go to, and this is where they're saying, put in your email, give us this, we'll give you
Yep.
the whole thing.
I don't
Again,
ever I don't ever do that. Never, never, never. Not nope.
but people are falling for it. They're not
Please
even
don't.
reading it. They're not understanding. And this is where you got upset over that. I was just like, really? Really? What the?
It
So,
brings you back to the days of the Nigerian prince who's gonna mail you a trunk full of cash.
yeah, so beware.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
some of the more popular content people are posting this
Good.
as though it's true. And the video originally comes from TikTok, but you have So Mama posting it. Look at what's going, and I'm going, no. And I don't have time to be correcting everybody, but it does piss me off.
Yep. I can see why.
Eh, So, um, be cautious, be critical thinkers,
Yes.
um, question everything you see, even stuff from me. I can be wrong, but I do try to source everything.
Yep.
And
And I think that's what sets us apart is I know you do and I do. If I'm wrong and you do, I'll be like, "Oop, my bad. Yep, okay, I was wrong. All right, you're right. I can admit it. I
yeah,
can admit making a mistake."
sometimes it's just a learning opportunity for me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, I didn't get that. So I do try to put out a note to make sure that people understand that this is what's taking place. Don't fall for it. It is, I called it funnel clickbait. That's what I
Yeah.
called it. so so be cautious. Looking forward to seeing everyone next week. We have even more stuff to discuss. Ran a couple of minutes overboard. We had difficulty coming on board today. And thank you for joining Rig by Design. If you haven't subscribed to Jason, please
Feel
go ahead and
better.
subscribe to Jason. If you haven't subscribed to me, please go ahead and subscribe to me. The Trifecta files most likely will be out tomorrow, if not latest by Monday. It is completed version. I'm just waiting for some input by my collaborator. Looking forward to seeing you again next week. Take care, all.
See you, everybody. Bye.